The second round of the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship would take its traditional stop-off for the first of two visits to Cadwell Park for the North Humberside Motor Club Run event. And it would be Michael Igoe and Will Atkins taking the early lead, 11 seconds in the Citroen by the end of the morning stages. Second for now will be John Griffiths and Emma Morrison, two former champions duking it out on the Lincolnshire stages. They were close on the times, but a great start on the opening stage for Igoe would see him finding it hard to close that gap. John Stowe, meanwhile, would have Rhys Stoneman alongside this weekend, and things were going well in the Legend Performance Polo. They end the morning with third place overall, a further 11 seconds back from Griffiths. It was a slippery start to the day, and there were a few competitors who weren't having as much luck. One of those being Mike and Lewis English. They go wide, and in an attempt to avoid the tyres, they go off and hit the Armco on the first stage. The bad luck wasn't over there, though. Phil and Kate Burton would go off on the same corner a few cars later, only to be followed again by Mike and Lewis English. Both of the crews ending up in the same piece of Armco. Sadly, this would mean retirement for English, although Burton would continue. Fourth overall at this stage would be Alfie Threlfall and Patrick Cross. It was safe to say the pair were getting used to the switch to four-wheel drive now. Some impressive times showing that they're going to be ones to watch in the overall leaderboards this season. And after missing the opening round, Joshua and Tamsin Davey were out this weekend in the Darien. They start the day well, fifth overall and leading the way in Class 5. Cadwell hasn't always been kind to the Darien pair. We hadn't seen Paul Wedgbury and Gemma Price since Cadwell earlier in the year, so it had been some time out of the seat for the pair, but they make a good start, ending the morning in 6th overall. Tom Stockdale and Neil Chambers were hovering around 7th place for most of the morning. They did briefly jump into 6th, but not for long. The times were still close though, only 10 seconds back from Wedgbury, and they lead the way in Class 3 as well. It would be 2nd place in Class 2 for Steve Hill and Hal Rich. The Evo pair ending the morning with 8th place overall as well. And for Bradley Carroll and Gareth Short, it was 9th place. The Escort pair, 2nd in the class as well, behind the BMW of Stockdale up ahead. Surprisingly, with the only Mach 2 Escort in the top 10. And rounding out that top 10 will be Mark Gallatley and Harriet Worth in the Citroen. The pair just 14 seconds back from Carroll up ahead. Let's take a look now, as we always do, at some of the classes outside of that top 10 leaderboard. And it will be Craig Pennington and Wayne Priest who take 3rd place in Class 3 at the halfway point in the event, entertaining the spectators and providing a lovely soundtrack in the Porsche in 13th overall. 2nd place in Class 5 with a Lotus pair of Joseph and Daniel Duffy. They end the morning just 5 seconds outside the top 10 in 11th overall. And 3rd place in that class were Dave and Paige Bellaby. Dave has had mixed luck on this event in the past, so the pair will be glad to be here, let alone with a 3rd place in class at this stage. In Class 8, it would be the lead for British Superbike rider Storm Stacey, Samuel Kelter alongside. Storm coming out for a one-off last year in a hired Fiesta, and he loved it so much he went and bought one of his own. Clearly just as happy to throw this one around the stages. 2nd in that class would be Jake Wilson and Rebecca Bromley, the Nova pair ending the morning 29th on the overall leaderboard. And they will be a few positions overall ahead of the similar Nova of Bill and Alex Rutledge, who end the morning 3rd place in Class 8. On to Class 9, and it will be the lead for Jonathan Hudson and Tom Worrell. The Micro pair in 38th place overall as well for now. 2nd place in the class would be Jonathan Bray and Darren Stiles, a few positions back overall in 50th in that MG. And there's a bit of a comfort margin for Bray and Stiles in that position overall. Owen and Glenn Thomas ending the morning 3rd in the Class 9 results for now. Just the one crew to keep an eye on in Class 10. Owen Kuehl and Matthew Walk back out after rebuilding the car in his driveway after the accident on the Pendragon stages earlier in the year. So with the morning stages complete here at Cadwell Park, the leaderboard is shaping up like this. On to the second half of the day then, and there'd be no change for Owen Kuehl and Matthew Walk. They continued to the finish to take the Class 10 win. And if you enter a class you can't win, make up a class that you can win. All I wanted to do was get to the finish and come home fastest mini. With my eldest son Mason alongside, we did just that, and we had a fantastic day on the Cadwell Park stages. There wouldn't be any change to the Class 9 results though, as we see Owen and Glyn Thomas rounding out the top of the class with 3rd place. They also take 47th overall. Jonathan Bray and Darren Stiles continue, as they were, to take 2nd place in the class and finish the day in 41st overall. And taking the class win will be Jonathan Hudson and Tom Worrell, with 32nd place overall as well in the micro. For Ian and John Dove, it was 3rd in Class 8, the Nova pair ending the rally in 36th on the overall leaderboard. 2nd in the class were Jake Wilson and Rebecca Bromley, holding on to that position all day to finish with 20th overall. And taking the class win with a convincing drive and a smile that suggests 4 wheels are perhaps better than 2 after all. Storm Stacey, Samuel Kelter alongside. A great result for only his 2nd time out in a rally car. Hopefully the start of many more. In Class 5, it will be a welcomed finish for Dave and Paige Bellaby. They get to the end of the rally to take 3rd place in Class 5, joint 11th overall. And for Craig Pennington and Wayne Priest, it will be 3rd place in Class 3. The Porsche pair finishing with 3rd overall as well. Meanwhile, making their way back up the results after their earlier mishap were Phil and Kate Burton. Another impressive drive to move up to take 3rd in Class 2, finishing just outside the top 10 in 11th overall. On to that top 10 leaderboard then. And in 10th overall were Gary Carver and Ann Dixon. They move up the overall positions into that place through the afternoon in the colourful Mitsubishi Colt, taking 2nd in Class 2 as well. Joseph and Daniel Buffy also moved the right way on the leaderboard into the top 10 now, ending the event 9th overall and taking 2nd in Class 5 with that finish. It was a similar story for Stephen Sawley and Rob Johnson. Men on the move, they'd end the event 8th overall, 2nd in Class 3 by the finish. But taking the Class 3 win with an impressive drive was Bradley Carroll, Gareth Short alongside. The pair moving a little further up the overall order as well with 7th. It had been a pretty good day in the Lincolnshire Wolds for Mark Gallatley and Harriet Worth. They'd take 6th overall this weekend, 4th in the class. And after a pretty impressive showing all day, a spin would end up slowing Alfie Threlfall and Patrick Cross down a little, but it didn't stop them getting a strong result. They'd end the rally 5th overall and with that Class 2 win. This result actually putting them 2nd in the overall title standings after round 2 as well. For Joshua and Tamsin Davey, their late start to the season had gone well. They end the rally 4th overall, of course, taking the class win in the Darien. On to the podium positions then, and it will be 3rd place overall for John Stone and Rhys Stoneman in the Legend Performance Polo. Despite getting close in the afternoon, John Griffiths and Emma Morrison would have to settle for a frustrated 2nd place. They finished just 4 seconds off the lead by the end of the rally, putting them 3rd in the championship standings after round 2, but most importantly, setting us up nicely for a championship battle. But taking victory and enjoying the fight as well, putting themselves at the top of the standings at this stage, will be Michael Igoe and Will Atkins. A great 2nd round for the pair, who now have a 7-point advantage going into the final round before the Christmas break after Donington Park. So with round 2 of the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship complete, here's how the results shaped up at Cadwell Park.